So let's bring in some more analysis on long working hours in China. I'm joined live from Boston by Elizabeth Woyke, business and technology reporter and author of the book, The Smartphone Anatomy of an Industry. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us. First question, I just got back from Beijing not so long ago, and you can see tech booming everywhere, but people are putting on really long hours. Are we seeing a backlash to the boom? What's behind this movement?
Yeah, I think they're both economic and cultural factors. It does seem like there's pent-up anger that is bubbling up. China's in its worst economic slowdown since 1990 for a couple of reasons, including the US-China trade fight and also some changing credit policies. And I think we're seeing companies, especially in the hyper-competitive tech sector, trying to do more with less and trying to squeeze as much productivity as possible out of workers without paying them more.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone wants to be a unicorn, right? But the space is less and less. So how prevalent, is over time in China's tech industry, and let's face it, beyond as well?
Well, it seems pretty prevalent in certain sectors, especially these internet-based companies, e-commerce, gaming, mobile technology. The companies that are cited most often related to the 996 schedule are Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, JD.com, Huawei, and then some smaller ones like ByteDance. In terms of the prevalence, I mean, it's also something we do see in other East Asian countries, especially, such as South Korea and Japan.
Yeah, I mean, the work ethic in Asia and East Asia in particular is incredible. But, there is a payoff in this sort of 21st century light speed economy. What benefits can coders, programmers get in return if they stick to the 996 schedule?
Well, primarily financial. A lot of these programmers are making more than 3 times the average salary in China. And then they do get these other perks, such as free meals at the office, free transportation home when they work long hours. Of course, the status related to working at these companies. Interestingly, some recent surveys have shown that these are still the most sought-after employers in China, which makes sense. I mean, it shows why these companies feel they can put this type of pressure on their workers. They feel they have that type of leverage.
So what risks and impacts does this have? Physical health, obviously, mental health, work-life balance, and also, does it benefit the firms having people sort of burnt out?
Yeah, so I guess the most serious drawback, there are many, would be that people die from this type of overwork by fatigue, and some die by suicide because of the stress. Then, of course, there's the increased risk of stroke, heart disease, diabetes because of weight gain, blood pressure issues, increased alcohol and tobacco use. And then there's the mental health issues, depression, insomnia, anxiety is not uncommon among this population.
Now, we've seen this in Silicon Valley too. People tend to disregard laws and regulations when they feel that they're going to go up. But what about regulations regarding work and overtime?
Well, you're right. The international norm is for this 40-hour work week. The ILO, the International Labor Union organization, calls for that and a maximum of 48 hours a week. And then, as already noted, in China, it is supposed to be a maximum of 44 hours a week. And then, interestingly, you've seen these other sort of similar culture countries of Korea and Japan revise their policies here. So last year, Korea changed its maximum number of working hours per week to 52, down from 68. And Japan just last month passed a new law saying that there should be no more than 45 hours of overtime a month, and employers should be tracking the work hours of all employees to make sure that there's not this type of overwork. And of course, both of those are prefaced on a 40-hour work week.
Yeah, but everyone wants to be the next Jack Ma, don't they? So, I mean, a lot of this has got to change in terms of the culture, right?
Yeah, so behavioral change is difficult, but I think it's important to draw a distinction between the people who have been sort of glorifying this workaholism are people like Jack Ma, so they're incredibly rich, they're CEOs, they're founders, And I think their circumstances are really different from the average worker. When they work, I mean, it's more of a passion project. It's often their own idea, and then they're reaping such incredible benefits from the success of the company. To expect the same of sort of the average rank and file worker is pretty unrealistic, I think. And then there are plenty of studies that show that this type of overwork does not lead to greater productivity. It may at the beginning, but it eventually is unsustainable. There have been studies that show that, for example, people can't productively do more than about 4 hours of creative work a day. And these are jobs that are largely creative.
Elizabeth, fascinating point to end on. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.